What's up, YouTube? I'm Brett from Rants. As always, with me on audio is my co-host Lance. Say hi, Lance.
Hey guys.
Alright, as always, guys, if y'all enjoy our content, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. We're on the road to 1,000, and we hope you guys will help us get there. Alright, so, Walker, episode 4. What's your initial thoughts on it, Lance?
It wasn't that strong of an episode for me.
Was it? See,
I mean, I thought it was okay.
See, I feel like each episode has something completely and totally wrong with it that turns me off. But the further I get into it, the more I've got used to that. So this episode didn't really bother me so much. Like, I actually enjoyed most of it. The things that would bothered me, like I said, at the first of it, of just the poor writing and the things like that, and how they switch into things without really, setting it up, used to really bother me about this show, but now it's kind of getting me to the point where I'm like, it's not so bad anymore. Like I've become accustomed to it. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I mean, I thought it was, I've said it from the very beginning. I thought Jared Padalecki is doing a fabulous job as Cordell Walker. I mean, I don't see Chuck Norris at all anymore.
No, and I don't see Sam Winchester.
No, I don't.
And no, I do, but we'll get to that later. But I just thought that this episode was just like storyline alone was kind of weak. Like,
yeah.
I just
which part, the part where Mickey feels bad because a guy that was running from a murder scene and she stops him and then feels bad about it, is that
yeah, because it's like she said, okay, I don't know everybody else's knowledge of oil fields. They were chasing the guy through an oil field.
Mm-hmm.
And there was one of those flares. If he had hit that flare and it fell over, the whole oil field would have blown up.
Yeah.
And everybody would have died. That was close by.
Yeah.
So they kind of had to do what they did, like Walker said. But to feel bad for a guy who you suspect to be a murderer is kind of ridiculous. And then even at the end of the episode, when they find out that he was innocent and all that, blah, 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 she still felt guilty. And it's like Captain James said, he was already dead. He had already suffered the injury that was going to kill him.
This is my take on it. She felt bad because of what that girl said to her. She feels like a traitor, and she's mentioning it over and over. And it seemed like everybody that comes to her mentions it to her. They're trying to really push that narrative home. That's what she feels bad about.
And I mean, okay.
I think that's what it is, at least.
And something that keeps bothering me every episode about the show is, at first, when she would first make comments about being the first Latino woman as a Texas Ranger, I was like, that's pretty cool, you know. But now they do it every episode, so I'm getting to the point where I'm like, we know.
It's like a couple times an episode.
I'm like, okay, we get it now. Yeah. Okay, go on to something else,
Yeah, it's like what do you want to eat today? Oh, well, you have to remember, I'm the first Latino Texas Ranger, female Texas Ranger. We're like, yeah, that doesn't fit with what I just asked. It's like, what was the last episode where she kind of did the same thing with her boyfriend? Like, it just drove me mad. Because he's like asking, you want to move in? Well, you have to remember, I'm the first Latino.
Yeah, that episode really bothered me. Like,
it's just
and then with this, I don't know if anybody else noticed it. I try to notice stupid things throughout episodes, I guess. But when Walker's son was going through his phone, one of his contacts in that phone was Winchester Auto.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I might be reaching into some things about that.
No, I don't think you are, actually. I think
that's like a little Easter egg of somebody from Supernatural is going to be on this show with Jared Padalecki soon.
Who do you think it'll be? Do you think it'll be Jensen Ackles, or do you think it'll be their dad?
I think it'll be, what's his name? Jeffrey Dean Morgan or something. I think it'll be him before it is Jensen Ackles, because I think Jensen Ackles is probably still busy like recording for the boys and stuff. But I mean, I know Jensen Ackles is going to be a part of the show at some point. That everybody has said it. So I don't know. Maybe they've wrapped up already, and I don't know.
Well, would you rather Jensen Ackles, if he does appear? Jeffrey Morgan Dean, isn't it? That his name, or am I completely off on that?
Yeah, I said Jeffrey Dean Morgan is Jeffrey.
I think
Morgan
I don't
Dean.
know.
I think you're right.
I think name just came to me all of a sudden.
But, I think you're right.
But would you rather Jensen Ackles appear in season 2, or would you rather it be for a smaller role in season 1? I want more of a bigger role. To me, I do,
but I see that's not going to happen.
No, that's not going to happen now. But I mean, if that would have been something I would have wanted him.
I wanted to, and I have some thoughts about Hoyt, but I could be completely wrong about this. But I don't know. Anyway, I kind of want Jensen Ackles to be like the main bad guy in season 2.
You know what? I would be cool with that because, I feel like if they do, like he's another good friend kind of thing like they do with Hoyt, I think Supernatural fans would be like, well, let's forget about Mickey and let's just go to these two guys.
And I think, that's something I said. That's something I had said, like, when we talked about it previously, was I feel like if he was like, even if they did bring him in as a partner of some sorts, it would be like Supernatural 2.0, and I think people would. I think it would be really hard for people to separate it. Like, this is Walker, not Supernatural.
And I don't think the CW would be cool with it either, because they're really wanting Lindsay Morgan to really be kind of the star of this show. I mean, they give her, really, to be honest with you, more time than what they do Jared Padalecki. I mean, it's almost
at times. But no, my thoughts on Hoyt real quick, and this is just something I thought of. I could be completely wrong. You know how what is her name? Stella. Mm-hmm. Stella's having to do that community service. Mm-hmm. And there's that guy there that she obviously is going to be like a little love interest for her. And he's like, oh, I didn't come here, for college or something like that. I just wanted to work at this place because my dad's in prison here. I'm wondering if his dad is Hoyt.
Would not shock me. I would, at this point, when it comes to this show, look, don't get me wrong. I like this show.
Because I do think that,
doesn't hide things very well. It's like they just are tells us automatically.
And my thing with that is they arrested Hoyt. We obviously know he's going to go to prison. Mm-hmm. Now this kid shows up because his dad's doing time. And he's like, this ain't the first time he's done time. So
I think it would make perfect sense if that was actually the case. And I hadn't thought about that before. But I actually think that would actually fit in pretty good with
and it would be kind of cool because it'd be Walker's daughter.
Yeah.
Hoyt's son. I could see them doing something like that.
It would be a way of bringing Hoyt back into the picture.
Back onto, yeah.
And maybe even causing a rift between Stella and her new boyfriend, because once he finds out that it's, her dad that arrested his dad, that would really change things.
Well, and other side of things too, this is like, I don't know, that would almost be kind of weird though, because they did call that guy Uncle Hoyt.
Yeah.
So
it would be weird, but I mean, now that I think about it, it almost kind of has to be that way. It can't just be
I'm curious about it. It's not going to be an unknown prisoner for sure.
The only other option I would say is for it to be the man who killed
her
Emily.
mom.
Yeah, it would
see, they could do that too, and that would be a big rift between the two, because your dad killed my mom. Like,
that would be a really, really messed up thing.
That would be definitely a dark little twist to put on it. But
I mean, which do you think?
I just automatically thought Hoyt. Like,
which would you rather? Would you rather it be Hoyt, or would you rather it be that.
I
You know,
almost I want to say Hoyt because that would bring Hoyt back into the show, and it would
mm-hmm.
cause some interesting dynamics there because
Yeah, because I think the other would just be way too dark for the CW. Like, I just feel like that would just be really,
maybe
really, really dark, even for me. Like, I mean, I don't know if I'd want them to go where she's dating literally the guy that probably killed her mom.
or his son, yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's his son. But I mean,
But
speaking
I
of,
definitely think that his dad's going to be somebody important to
yeah.
the show.
Well, speaking of Stella, is Stella growing on you? Because she's not really growing on me too much.
Well, she's grown on me more than August
August.
has. I can't stand that kid.
August is so ridiculous. I don't even know.
My issue with the August thing right now is why on earth would you message this woman that your dad knew when he was undercover? And you saw Walker's face when he picked up that phone and seen that he had messaged this person and they messaged back. So that's going to be a big issue in the next episode, I feel like.
Yeah,
And also something that I can kind of pick apart real quick that bothered me with this episode was the first 3 episodes they were leading up to something to do with the bartender chick. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden she wasn't even in this episode.
Yeah, and
even when they were in the bar, she wasn't there.
Yeah, I'm kind of getting a little bit sick and tired of that. I think her name's Gary, if I'm not mistaken, in the show. Or Jerry or something along those lines.
I don't know.
But she's actually somebody I'd want to see more of. And it seems like
because like they kind of dangled her in front of us like she had something to do with what happened to Emily.
Yeah.
Or at least that she was down there with Emily, and now it's just like, oh, we're just gonna act like she doesn't exist. Like,
I know. Okay, I'm like you, and I know we've talked about this a million times. I do enjoy the case-by-case situations that's going on with it. But there is a part of me that I feel like there's so many opportunities when they, I don't want this whole show to be about Emily's death, but at the same time, there's a lot of these things that could correlate towards something with that, and it's like they don't do anything.
I think they're gonna towards the finale, but they don't want to do it this early in the season because then too many questions would get answered. Too many people would start to expect too much before. They don't want that before the finale. I think closer to the finale, they actually some of these cases that they work will actually coincide with her death, but I think it'll be like the last 2 or 3 episodes. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I think episode 4. I feel like episode 4 is too soon to start trying to tie things into her case.
Liam looking back into the case that something's gonna come up.
That was weird with me, and I also thought that it was. I think they're trying to. I personally think they're trying to distract you on things when it comes to even Captain James looking into it. They're trying to make it look like he's the bad guy, but I don't think that's going to be the finale of it all. I don't think he's pulling files on Emily's case because he's the bad guy. I think it's going to be he feels like there's something suspicious about it, but he doesn't want to say anything to Cordell until he knows for sure type thing.
See, this is the way I look.
I think that's going to come back to bite him too because once Cordell finds out, he's going to be like, "Why didn't you say something?" And he's like, "Well, I wanted to make sure first." Well, no, you should have fucking told me. And so there's going to be a rift with them too because of that. I don't think it's going to be Captain James was involved in her death.
See, normally,
I think that's how they want you to believe.
Yeah. Normally, I would agree with you 110% on that because another show would do that. But to me, I don't feel like Walker is original enough of a show to, like, that just seems like something they would do, make Captain James the guy. That, I don't know, for whatever reason, I don't know. to
You
be
might
the
be right.
one that
You might
does
be
things
right.
like it. And I hope I'm not, because I actually like your version better. I want it to cause a rift between him
I
and
just
Captain James,
look.
and then that be a setup of the show. I would
I
like that
just don't
more.
think that. Well, I don't think that they're gonna go the route of Captain James had something to do with your wife getting killed,
Yeah.
because him and Captain James were such good friends early in life, and they were partners at one point. I just don't think they'll do that, and
Well,
I kind of hope they don't. But
and another thing, they've never really explained, or they never shown anything that would cause him to be, to have animosity towards her, or for any reason. Like, they've never showed
or
anything about
towards
Captain James that would
Cordell,
make
or
you think that. So I mean,
or
that would be
toward
another
yeah.
thing.
Yeah, so I don't see that happening, but I could be wrong. I
Well,
could be.
what do you think of Liam? What do you think of Liam? You, I mean,
I'm so hit and miss with his character. Like, I've hated his character for the first couple episodes.
see, Liam to me
I
started
liked him
off
at first.
good.
I liked him at first. Then when he tried to take Walker's kids, I was like, "Well, screw that guy."
Same with
And
me.
then,
Same
and
with
then
me.
in this episode, he didn't completely bother me, but it was just like the things he was doing was just out of place. Like,
He did come off a little strange when he met that woman.
when he met
In the
Mickey, yeah, I was
yeah,
like, he almost seemed like he was trying to
flirt
flirt,
with.
but we
I
all
know.
know
I know.
he's engaged.
It seemed very odd. I didn't understand that. But the way his
And
reaction, I don't
then
know if it
I
was
didn't,
poor
I
acting or
and
what.
to me, him looking into Emily's case at the end of the episode was just so out of place. Like,
Yeah.
where did that come from? That was just to tell us that Captain James had been looking into it as well, and they could have came to that point a lot better than what they did, in my
See,
opinion.
I'm kind of getting a little sick and tired of Cordell. We talk about Emily, them not doing anything with the Emily case, but there's a cry scene where he talks about Emily every episode, and to me, those things are. I'm getting kind of sick of them right now, because I'm like, you're
Well,
not doing anything. You don't talk about Emily throughout the whole thing, and then all of a sudden, boom, you got to have a cry scene about it. Like, I want something
I
different from
didn't.
that.
Okay, my issue was the one thing I did have an issue with in this episode was when Liam brings up them catching her killer so fast, and he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry," and Walker's like, "No, man, it's cool." So why make that an issue if it wasn't an issue? Like, I
I,
didn't.
I don't. That's what I'm saying. There's so many times in this show that I'm like, that's going to be something that's going to happen, and then it just like turns out to be like no reaction. Like, you think there's going to be something big, and there's fixing going to be a blow up or something like that's going to happen,
Now,
and then
I do
nothing
think
happens.
the whole introducing himself to Mickey thing was purely bad acting. Like, I don't think they meant for it to come across the way it came across to me anyway.
I actually agree with
I
that
think
too.
that was strictly bad acting. But
I want more from
overall,
her boy. I want more from Mickey's boyfriend. I know that.
and I think he's gonna I think he's gonna be a big part of it, because and not like a major part, but what I mean by that is, you remember how early episodes we discussed the racist soccer coach.
Yeah.
Well, now he's going to be the assistant soccer coach.
So that's how they're going to bring that in.
He got that job at the school as the assistant soccer coach and the medic for basically sports injuries.
You feel like this show kind of pushes this a little too much? Like, it's not that I feel like they push
And the
this.
and the only and
I
the
just
only
feel like they're
reason
putting a square peg in a round hole kind of thing. Like, they're like, hey, let's force it in there, when it doesn't really add anything to the story. It
Yeah,
just
maybe
doesn't make
so.
anything good.
And the only reason I think that he's going to be a bigger part because of that was because there was just a couple comments that were made. Him getting the job as the soccer coach, and then when Stella was talking to her friend Isabel, she was like, "I'll see you at practice."
Oh my goodness! Isabel, is that Stella's friend? I can't remember her name. I love her mother. Her
Oh, I
mother
love her
put
mom.
Stella in her place, and I love
Yeah,
that.
yeah, and she needed to in that situation. Like, why are you getting in this business right now?
Hmm. I know. It's like
And she's like, if you
I was
hadn't
like,
wanted
yeah,
to
I
get
like this
high,
woman.
if you hadn't wanted to get high, the ice
Hmm.
wouldn't be looking at us
I
at
know.
all. So,
And
so
I
why
just
don't you
kind of
just
felt.
shut up,
I
basically?
mean, to me, it's like I wish that it was not someone else, but I wish it was Walker that was doing that, or Abilene, anybody in the family that would just was like, hey, hold up, slow your roll on some things.
Yeah, and
But
it's kind of
no,
like
it's like it takes somebody else to have to do it.
it's kind of like what Liam's fiance Brett had said in the previous episodes when he was like,
Hmm.
"Okay, I love Stella, but she can't keep getting a free pass every time she calls."
And he's
Like,
totally right in a lot of ways.
yeah, yeah, I agree with that
It's
completely,
like
and
it.
I kind of feel like that's part of the problem now is everybody because her mom had passed away, everybody gave her a free pass for too long.
Well, it's like
When in
I.
reality, people look. It's sad that your parent died.
Mhm.
Don't get me wrong, but people are gonna forget about that over
Mhm.
time and quit giving you a fucking break.
Well, it's like last episode. He teaches
Like
his
you're gonna
dog.
have to be held accountable for your actions,
Yeah,
you know. And yeah, I get that she's got probation,
yeah.
but she still isn't really like even her friend. Like that was my thing. Even her friend isn't holding her accountable because she straight says in this episode that it was her fault that they got in trouble because her friend didn't even want to do it
Yeah,
and whatever. So her friend should be like, you know what? I'm
it
pretty
is your
pissed
fault.
at you. Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
It's
I
gonna take more than jelly to make this shit okay. Like,
well, I kind of felt like even last episode when August gets drunk and he's the one that gets punished, but Stella gets to drive the car. Like what?
I mean, literally right after they left the courthouse, saying she was going to
I,
be on
I'm
probation,
not
he was like,
look.
"Here, let me teach you how to drive a standard."
I don't know about you, but I will say this: if that would have been me in that situation, uh, I would have given my son a more of a pass on that and less of a pass on her because what she did literally got her a record. Like, I mean, this is some serious stuff. Like, if she does something else or doesn't,
Here's my thing.
go to
Here's
these
my
things,
thing.
like she could get in serious
I don't
trouble.
know. I don't know for sure how I would be in that situation, but I want to believe that if my kid was the way August is, I'd be like, "You got drunk. That's good. You need to do
Yeah,
something."
I don't think I would be as pissed. I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
and
that's kind of what I'm getting at. But for this episode overall, for me, I want to say like a 7.5.
well, real quick, let me ask you this: what did you think about the whole Abilene affair thing?
I thought that was out of place. Like, there's
You
no
thought it was
reason
weak.
for it. Yeah, I don't think there's a reason for it unless it's going to amount to something major later. I just feel like it was just put in there for his
I like,
dad to make the comment
yeah,
of Walker losing his wife, and
yeah.
at that point I kind of I've been a big fan of his dad throughout this whole show so far.
Hmm.
But at that point, I kind of felt like that was a weak line because you're
Yeah,
comparing his wife dying to your wife cheating.
I know, I know.
Like,
Like I kind of feel like if Walker was there, he'd be like, no, no,
no,
it's
no, no,
not,
no,
the
that's not
same.
the
It's not
same
the
thing.
same.
And now I don't know if they're trying to make it look like Walker was having an affair while he was undercover,
It
or if he
has
just
to be. See, I didn't get that from that picture, but apparently August did, and I guess that's what they're going with that. But to me,
well,
that
I mean,
wasn't that
honestly,
clear in that.
me if I was going through some of my mom's stuff and found a picture of her and some dude, I'd probably get pissed off and be like, who the fuck's this guy?
Are you talking about the picture? But
Yeah,
see, at the
so
end of the day, if my mom was dead or whatever, I don't
see,
know if I would
that's
even
the
be
thing
that
though.
pissed.
I don't think it was after she died.
No, I know it was before, but what I'm just saying is, I think I would be more. I think when it comes to the Cordell and his mom, and then the August and his dad, I feel like if anybody should be pissed about something, it maybe should be Cordell towards his mom about the affair more than it should be about August looking at a picture and being like, hey, a woman's around your neck, you're having an affair
except
with her. I'm
for
like,
except for as Walker in that situation, it would be easier for him to understand his mom's side of it if he's the one that screwed up in his
yeah.
marriage.
But isn't
So
that going to like
so
push the
there's
kids
that.
further? Like, is that really a route they want to go on this show? If he had an affair or something like
Yeah,
that?
because they're gonna have to keep the drama going. You know how
Yeah,
TV is.
I guess that's the way. But to be fair, I'm to the point where I want the drama to end with the children and him. I want because it's not to me. It's not enough. It's not interesting enough. Like I feel like they hate him for what doing his job or working and
Ah,
providing a roof over their head. That none of that. The older I
ah,
get, the more shows like that piss me off. And I'm not just talking about Walker, but I'm just talking about any show from the 90s where the father works too much and the kids hate him for it. And I'm like, that dude just put a roof over your head. Like, well, you get pissed because he's working and, y'all know, feeding you? Do you like the food that's in your mouth? Do you like the roof over your head? Like, that always, that, to now that I'm older, those lines piss me off because I'm like, the dude's doing his best here. He's not, he's not doing it. He's not hating on them. They tried to make it in this show where she's like, oh, well, who was it? Was it with him and August or him and Stella? Where he says, I'm happy. And the kid is like, I forget which one it was.
it was August.
It was August, and I'm
It
like,
was this episode.
yeah, and I'm like, why did they? What about what he's shown on screen makes you think he's not happy with you? Like it seems like everything he's done since this show's began is trying to do something with his kids. Like, or am I missing something in there? Like, it just
I don't
was.
see it that way. I don't see him because the thing is, like, he's living there, but it never shows him doing anything with his kids other than dropping them off at their probation.
Yeah, but at the well, I mean, he did the
So,
stick shift
so
thing.
I'm just saying, just because you're working and everything like that, look, you still have to spend time with your children.
Yeah, but to be fair, they really haven't showed it the kids with any of the other characters either, except maybe the grandpa where he's teaching the boy something at the table. I mean, it's like they really haven't showed a family outing with any of them, with any of the kids.
Well, I mean, it was just kind of like even before his wife died, they were all trying to play a game, and he wasn't really even wanting to spend time with them. Then she
Yeah.
pretty much had to force him to do that.
Well,
So
that is true on that one. That is
that's
true
what
on that
I'm
one.
getting at is he might be there and he might be putting a roof over their head and food in their mouth, but he's not there for them.
Yeah,
Like,
and that's
and that
fair.
matters. That
Yeah, that's fair
matters.
enough on that one. But I mean, overall, what would you rate this episode?
I give it a 7, 7.5 at best for me. This episode, I did not. There was just a lot of things about this episode I didn't enjoy.
I would give it a 7. And I did enjoy it, but again, the same things that I keep telling myself, okay, it's going to get better over it. I'm starting to realize is just a part of it. I want this show to make something shocking to me. I don't want I knew the person that the guy at the oil well thing. I knew that he was innocent from the very
Well,
beginning by the way Mickey was acting. And I'm
well,
like,
yeah,
they
you
need to
knew he was.
not do
I
that. They
knew.
need to make it
Yeah,
be a
I,
surprise or
I
something.
obviously okay. I obviously knew he was innocent, but
Hmm.
where me and you differ there, you said as soon as they showed Monty, you knew it was him. Where I didn't. I just thought it was his wife. Like,
Well, I didn't
uh,
know if it was going to be like that. I mean, of course, yeah, his wife being a part of it was just as clear as day. But the reason with the Monty thing, I thought it was going to be something like that with that, but then I thought
see,
it
I
was going to
thought
be
it was
more
good.
about him and Mickey and about how them saying because she makes that comment to Walker about oh well about the Mexican about the about her being the female with the Texas Ranger and then nothing but old white guys. So I thought that was a reference to what she was saying about that guy, about how he, I don't know, was judging her in the bar or something along those lines. And that was the reason why she got in the truck with him. And I didn't really understand that. Why didn't they just arrest him?
Because Captain James told him he could. They didn't have enough. She had to get him to do what he did in order for them to have anything to arrest him on. Yeah, they had no proof until he pulled a gun out and tried to kill her.
I kind of feel like that was kind of stupid. Like, he's a cop himself. He knew that they didn't have anything on him. I mean, I guess
she bluffed him. She bluffed him by saying that when he hit that guy in the head with his gun, the residue that they found on his body came off his gun, and so that's when he pulled the gun out and tried to kill her. Here's my thing though: if he had blew her head off right then. Mm-hmm. Walker was still behind you. You were still going to get, like... I know. So, even if he had succeeded in killing Mickey at that point, Walker was going to kill him, So
let me just ask you this real quick. What did you think about Mickey's detective work where she looks at two guys' photographs and is like, they're kin? I mean, she's obviously great at this. I looked at that, I was like, seriously? I mean, I guess that's what they're going to go with the show, but seriously?
I mean, I could see a resemblance, but not enough for me to be like, oh, they're related.
Yeah, I just felt like that was a shot in the dark.
I feel like, and I think that was the whole point too, though, was like, she was like, thanks for believing me, and Walker's like, I didn't believe you, but I trusted you. I trusted you.
If she'd been like, requesting a DNA test over him,
which they did,
for some other reason, then that fact come out, then I could understand that. But
which they did. They did get the DNA later. But.
Yeah, they did get it later, which I was glad that they justified it. But at the, it drove me crazy when she's looking at those pictures, and I'm like, that's just such poor storytelling that it's ridiculous.
When her boyfriend was talking to her about the sketches, and she was like, "Oh, thank you, you're awesome," and I was like, "What the hell did she just say?" I thought it was going to be like a piece of jewelry or something.
I just feel like I guess it's because I do a lot of that's one of my hobbies, guys. Is I do a lot of genealogy, and I've come across a lot of people, cousins, grandparents, and all that, and I can tell you, you can't just always look at somebody and be like, yeah, that's definitely that guy. Like unless there's just like
but usually I can usually tell father and son, fathers and daughters, and
fair enough. But I mean, it's like even my son. Like my son, if she compared me and my son, they probably wouldn't be like, "Oh, that's definitely his kid." Like, I mean, I just feel like, yes, you can sometimes, but then other times, I'm like, that was, to me, that was just such a shot in the dark moment. That just was poor storytelling. It wasn't anything against Mickey. It was against the storytelling of, instead of her doing detective work and finding that out, she just looked at a picture and was like...
Well, that was kind of like my thoughts on Walker taking for like 2-3 episodes to find out her middle name.
Yeah. I mean, a quick Google search would do that. Like,
or I don't know, her personnel files. Like,
yeah, he's a Texas Ranger that literally has that at his fingertips. You're telling me that this guy is supposed to be solving crimes, but he can't figure out to do a quick Google search.
But
it could go to
overall,
her Facebook page and
that's all I got.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, I would give it like a 7 out of 10. I enjoyed this episode, but it still had some of the flaws that I've really been saying this entire time.
I didn't really enjoy this episode, so I think I might change my grade. I want to say like a 6.5, 7.
To be honest with you, if I hadn't have seen the episodes that's come before it, I would give this episode a lower grade. simply
Well,
because
see,
it
and
doesn't.
that's where we differ. That's where we differ on this because I feel like this was the weakest episode so far.
Really. See, I didn't feel like this was the weakest episode. I actually thought the first two episodes were pretty weak. I enjoyed last week and I enjoyed this week of it for the most part, but
See,
I
I
enjoyed it
enjoyed the
because I
first
didn't
three.
nitpick it because I've come to expect this show has certain flaws and I've just got to get used to
See,
those
I
flaws.
enjoyed
Those
the
flaws
first
aren't
three
going away.
episodes. I enjoyed the first three episodes. I didn't enjoy this one,
Yeah. All right. All right. Well,
but
as always, guys, thank y'all so much for watching. And leave us a comment about what y'all thought about the episode. As always, guys, thanks for watching.